most unguardable player in the NBA. This video is about Nikola Jokic. I've already made a video about this guy. I felt like there was not enough discussion about him potentially winning a 3 straight MVP, and at this point, I kind of regret it. I think this man deserved. It's really hard for me because 3 straight MVPs it's a very special thing. It's a very special thing. Even Michael Jordan did not achieve that. Only Larry Bird and I think Bill Russell were the only people that were able to achieve that. And I just felt like Nikola Jokic was not good enough to win a third straight MVP. I just didn't think so. And even though the guy that won it this last season has really disappointed, and it's kind of makes you start to think maybe he didn't deserve it, that Jokic deserved it. I don't still think he should have won 3 straight MVPs. That's just me. I just don't think he's good enough to be a 3 straight MVP kind of guy. I just don't think so. Now, was I wrong in terms of me feeling like he was a defensive liability, and him being a defensive liability affected his overall strength offensively? Yeah, I was wrong. I'll probably make another video about that, but I think I was wrong about it, and I can admit that. And currently in the NBA, especially with this particular soft league, the league is kind of very soft now. Fouls are being blown very easily, and compared to what I watched when I started the NBA, it's not the same thing whatsoever. So, do I think him playing in this era helps him? Yes. I do think if he played in the 2000s or in the 90s, he would have been a less injury-prone Yao Ming. Maybe a bit better than Yao Ming in terms of offensively. Yao Ming was better defensively than him. Yao Ming was definitely better than him defensively. So I think if he played in a different era, not this era that is so like basically Swiss cheese era, I don't think he would have blossomed as he has blossomed this particular era. But at the end of the day, he's playing in this era, and I'm not really a fan of comparing eras, to be honest. I'm really not a fan of it. But since people always try to discredit Kobe a lot of the time, I have to bring it up. Anyway, the most unguardable player in the NBA, let's check it out.
If I told you just a couple years ago that there would be a player who in one postseason would eliminate LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and Jimmy Butler averaged a 30-point triple-double while taking a franchise to their first NBA Finals and breaking multiple records in the process, would you even believe me? That sounds like one of the greatest runs in NBA history. And that's because it is.
It was one of the greatest runs in NBA history in terms of his statistics, his performance, not because of the people that he eliminated. He eliminated a 38. Like, no matter how people try to hold on to the fact that LeBron James is still great at 38, he's still 38. This is not a 25-year-old LeBron. Let's be really real about this. Like, I'm actually very tired of it because a lot of the time people always try to, and LeBron fans are also a part of the problem with this because they're holding LeBron to this standard of you have to still be able to perform the way you performed in the past. And to me, that is asinine. That is asinine. I've been watching LeBron for the past how many years? I'm a hater, so obviously I'm going to watch him. I'm like Skip Bayless. I watch him a lot because I don't like the guy. So I've seen it. No matter, even if he pads his stats, he's able to. LeBron is just so smart. He's actually able to pad his stats to a point that people are not able to see the fact that he's not the same. He's just not the same. He's not as athletic as he was when he was 25. Definitely, he's not even close. Sometimes when he tries to go for a layup, he misses it. Layups that he could have made at the age of 25 would have made it. Now he misses it now. I notice all those things, but a lot of LeBron fans just go to the stat sheets. Oh, yeah, he scored 28 points, 7 rebounds, 10 assists, or whatever nonsense stats he has these days. Because he has found a way to be able to keep himself relevant by padding his stats, be able to get rebounds, get those assists, because he's a genius. He's a passing genius. He's always going to get a particular number of assists, at least 6 to 7. He's always going to get that. Rebounds, he's big, he's still strong. Despite the fact that he's not as athletic as he was. So is he able to be able to get those rebounds? Then in terms of the points, he picks his spots. He's able to still nail the points he's supposed to nail at an efficient clip. The guy is very, very smart. He plans everything out. And it's actually very funny that people don't see this thing. This guy plans everything out to the T. And the guy is clearly not the same way. He's clearly not the same guy that he was in his 20s. So Jokic knocking him out, I don't really see it as that much of an achievement. Booker, I mean, these guys are not, future Hall of Famers, but they are not on the level of the kind of people that other greats may have knocked out. To be honest with you, they're just not. They may have this efficient stats because they're playing in this Swiss cheese era, era in which efficiency is like the number one thing, because the refs are basically like, if you touch this guy as he's going to the rim, foul, free throw. Like, it's ridiculous. Go and watch the 2000s. Go and watch the 2000s basketball. Go and watch it. And tell me that this is the same thing that you are seeing right now. It's ridiculous. So, though I think he performed in terms of his statistics, he's playing a Swiss cheese league. I just don't think he mentioning the likes of LeBron, Devin Booker, in terms Kevin Durant. Durant is not a bus driver like Charles Barkley said. He's not. He's just not. Every time he has been given opportunity to be the bus driver, he has never succeeded. So he's not. So knocking him out is not really an achievement, to be honest with you. Anyway, let's continue.
Sounds like one of the greatest runs in NBA history, and that's because it is. In terms of offensive brilliance, LeBron James set the gold standard for what is possible in the postseason, piling up an offensive box plus minus of 12.8 back in 2009. This record has yet to be broken, and it may never be.
I have to say, LeBron's performance in 09, between that 09-010, before he went to the Miami Heat, are actually his best performances, to be honest. As a LeBron hater, I was actually more impressed with LeBron James during that period than when he went to kind of start stacking teams and all that stuff. I know his fans don't want to hear that. People like this guy, they don't want to hear things like that. But this guy stacked teams. He did stack teams. The minute another team outstacked him, he lost. That's just the truth. He lost. The minute another team outstacked him, he lost. So, I was more impressed with LeBron James doing this between 2-9, 2-10. At that point, I actually really, even as a LeBron hater, I was like, damn, this guy is something else. This guy is just something else. The minute he just started stacking teams, something that I wish Kobe was able to do, because it seems like people don't really care about this. People don't care about that particular problem. Superstars just stacking teams, building the team the way it will match them. I mean, can you imagine if Kobe had the choice not to choose Shaq? Maybe he chose a guy like Kevin Garnett that would have actually fit his gameplay more than Shaq. Shaq maybe would have helped him win more titles. Let me say Kobe won 3 titles with Shaq. I actually think if he won 1 title with Kevin Garnett, he would have given him more standing in terms of these analytic idiots that are running the NBA these days. He would have given him more standing than his 3 titles with Shaq. It would have, because he would have won the finals MVP. He would have won 1 title. Then in total, he would have won 3 titles. I mean, at the end of the day, people just look at those 3 titles for Kobe as Shaq carried him. he will always carry that. Even after his death, he will always keep carrying that. And as a Kobe fan, it really annoys me because people don't go and sit down and look at the whole playoff run. They just look at the finals MVPs. They don't look at the playoff runs in which he was very instrumental, especially in the Western Conference Finals. But they just go to the NBA Finals, look at the Finals MVPs, and are like, oh, Shaq carried Kobe. It's really annoying. So I wish he played with a guy like Kevin Garnett. Even if they would not have won 3 straight titles like he did with Shaq, he would have probably played with Garnett more seasons because Shaq was kind of selfish. I know people just sit down here and Shaq was a big man that believed he was the best and he always wanted to be spoon-fed. Give me the ball and I will dunk it. That was it. That was what Shaq was. If you don't do that for him, he won't defend. He won't give you effort in the defensive end, which would affect the team. But Kevin Garnett was a natural defender. So that would have been his first priority. Defend first. Then if he gets points additionally to that, everything would have been fine. And him and Kobe would have coexisted because Kobe would have been the guy that scores the points. Garnett would have been the defensive anchor. Instead of playing with another guy that was an offensive ball hog like Kobe. To be honest, I'm a Kobe fan. He was a ball hog. But Shaq was also a ball hog for a center. So I really wish he played with Kevin Garnett instead of... I wish he was able to choose the way LeBron James was able to choose. The way all these other superstars, quote-unquote, during this period are able to choose the superstars that are supposed to play with. I wish he was able to do that.
Because the next closest playoff run in terms of offense was Michael Jordan in 1991, Michael Jordan again in 1990, and then LeBron James again, and then Michael Jordan again, and then our friend Nikola Jokic, and then more Michael and LeBron. You won't even find another name on this chart until we get down to the 11th best offensive postseason in NBA history with Stephen Curry in 2017. But Michael, LeBron, and Steph are possibly the 3 greatest offensive players of all time. So what does that make Nikola Jokic? Well, among the career playoff leaders in offensive box plus minus, you'll find the greatest offensive weapons the game has ever seen. Magic Johnson, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, LeBron James, Nikola Jokic, and Michael Jordan. So far this postseason, Jokic has managed to accomplish something that was previously thought to be impossible. Lead the playoffs in points, rebounds, and assists, a feat that has never been done before. But somehow this accumulation of stats is not that surprising. The man is getting triple-doubles like they grow on trees. I've seen the name Nikola Jokic next to the words triple-double so much this season, I almost forgot they were really hard to achieve. In fact, Nikola Jokic now has 10 triple-doubles this postseason alone, which is more playoff triple-doubles than all but 5 NBA players have ever achieved in their entire career. Now, a big burling center like Nikola Jokic is supposed to be really good around the rim. Among players with at least 1,000 career playoff shot attempts, Jokic ranks 2nd all-time in effective field goal percentage. As impressive as this is, I kind of expected it. But you know what I didn't expect? Among players with at least 1,000 career playoff shot attempts, Jokic also ranks 2nd in three-point percentage. Now, before you go and pick your jaw up off the floor, I must also tell you that among high-volume playoff shooters, there are only 2 players in NBA history who have career splits of 50-40-80, Kawhi Leonard and Nikola Jokic. Jokic is really good at everything, so how do you stop him? Well, what would most players do in this situation? Jokic is sandwiched between a double team, but he's got a few options. Does he A, lob it up for Jeff Green, who's got a man sealed off? B, swing it to Jamal Murray at the top of the key? Or C, float it above Bam and attempt to knock down an 8-footer?
Jokic, the feed, and Christian Brown.
He does none of those things, and instead slips a pass to a cutting Christian Brown for an easy dunk. One of the best ways to describe Jokic's game is that he makes it difficult for his teammates to even make a bad play. If you're open, he'll find you. Like this play right here. Jokic gets the mismatch on Butler in the high post. Kyle Lowry sees this, and so he signals Highsmith to double him. Now, right away, you can see Highsmith doesn't want to commit to the double. He knows it's a bad idea, because even with his man on the other side of the court, he knows Jokic can just easily do this. But in some cases, the Heat choose not to double. And since there's no one in the NBA who can guard Jokic one-on-one, this turns into about the easiest 2 points you'll see in the finals. In terms of offensive value, one thing we have trouble measuring is a player's gravity. When a player becomes a perpetual threat on offense, they leave the defense with no choice but to pick their own poison. All the great players have this effect to some extent, but the gravity Nikola Jokic imposes on the opposing defense is like some sort of black hole, pulling everything within his vicinity in against their will. On this play, Murray uses the pick and finds a rolling Jokic at the center of the defense. Once Jokic gets the ball here, Miami's already failed on this defensive possession. Look around the court. Highsmith is the only defender within 8 feet of his man. Miami is so consumed with stopping Jokic at the point of attack that they leave him with 3 open options from which he can choose from. Here's another play from just a few possessions later. It's a different action, but Jokic gets the ball at the center of the defense again. And this time, instead of completely collapsing, the Heat play the passing lane, and Jokic gets a wide open floater. What exactly are they supposed to do in this situation? And this gravity that Jokic imposes on the defense has a reverse effect on his team. One of the many negative side effects to ISO-heavy ball is that even if the player getting the majority of the shots is the best option, it completely disincentivizes his teammates from moving without the ball. And now since they're less willing to run around and make cuts for what feels like no reason, these teammates end up standing around even more, leading to them being open even less, leading to an ISO-heavy player passing even less, and it just snowballs until your offense is completely stagnant. But when Jokic has the ball, his teammates are engaged, knowing that if they get open, he will find them. Like this play right here. Jokic sets a screen for Murray and seals Butler off. Jamal Murray looks to feed Jokic the ball, but look in the corner. Michael Porter Jr. is already cutting to the basket, and Jokic doesn't even have the ball yet. Porter instinctively knows that if he gets open, Jokic is gonna find him. Now, these are basic motions any team will go through depending on the set, but how many players can still execute the pass that leads to the layup? But Jokic's gravity only works if he is a threat to score the ball. Unfortunately for the Heat, he's really good at that too. Have you ever seen a player get a reluctant 41 points? It's not fancy, it's not loud. Half the time it doesn't even look good. And
He does though. I mean, I have to give him, like, if he actually wants to score, he will be able to score. I have to say it. If he actually wants to, he will be able to score. But I just think it is because of the current NBA that he's playing. If he's playing an NBA where you have burly, big centers like him, defending him, I think it would be harder. But now you have the likes of Bam. I mean, Bam is what, 6'9"? He's not even, I'm not even sure he's even, I'm not sure. He's definitely not even close to Jokic's weight. Who else? You have all these other guys that are not, Anthony Davis. These guys are not centers. Jokic is bigger than them, and he has skills. I mean, it's a mismatch. It's just a mismatch. There's just nothing you can say about it. It's a mismatch. So I'm going to say that, look, I think him playing in this era really helps him. I really believe so. I think if he played in the 90s or in the 2000s, he would have struggled a bit. Now, he wouldn't have been a scrub. He would have still been an all-star, but I don't think he would have been a potential top 20 player the way he is right now. That's just my own opinion.
Yet no one has found a way to stop it. Everyone knows just how incredible Jokic is at creating offense with his passing, but I don't think the magnitude of this skill set is emphasized enough. Shaquille O'Neal holds the title as the most dominant player of all time. He couldn't hit a free throw, he wasn't the type to survey the floor for open teammates, but none of that mattered because there wasn't a soul on earth that could guard him. But what if Shaq could knock down his free throws? What if he was one of the greatest playmakers of all time? What if he could hit threes? He'd probably have been the greatest player to ever touch a basketball.
He could.
Right? Well, in the 2000 playoffs, Shaq had the greatest postseason run of his career, averaging nearly 31 points, 15 rebounds, and 3 assists on 57% shooting. This was his masterpiece. Now take a look at Jokic's numbers from this postseason. Shaq was one of a kind because he was so unstoppable that he didn't need any variance in his game. But right now, Nikola Jokic is dominating the game like a prime Shaquille O'Neal, while shooting 47% from 3, while hitting 80% of his free throws, while orchestrating the offense nearly every single possession. Jokic is becoming one of the most lethal offensive weapons the game has ever seen. And he's doing it in a way that only he could. Among the greatest offensive players of all time, here's a chart of their best playoff runs in terms of points generated. That's points a player created through both scoring and assists. 30 is the threshold here, but most all-time greats surpass that total. KG, Barkley, and Carmelo all had playoff runs where they generated about 35 points a game. Dwayne Wade is the first player on this list to crack 40 points generated per game in a playoff run. Giannis, Kareem, and Steph all had runs averaging about 42 points generated per game. Keep climbing and you'll find the 9 players who surpassed the coveted 45 mark, and only 6 of them did it in the modern NBA. Allen Iverson's best playoff run that came in 2001, Luka in 2022, Jordan in 1990, Magic in 1986, LeBron in 2018, and Nikola Jokic this season, creating more offense than any player in any season ever.
My problem with this is that when videos like this are made, they are not considering the fact that the NBA in which you are playing right now, it's not just the same. I don't have the stats right now. I'm not really a stats guy. I'm not going to go. If I want to do that, I can do that. This is a reaction video. But most people know that in the 2000s compared to right now, it's not even close when it comes to scoring. So comparing offensive stats of guys that are playing in the 2020s with the 2000s, it's not fair. It's just not fair. Obviously, players in this particular 2020s will have better offensive stats than people in the 2000s, people in the 1990s. They will. Generally, they will. Now you can have the likes of Jordan, Kobe, and people like that were able to transcend the era in which they played. By the end of the day, they were seen at a disadvantage. They could have been able to probably beat Jokic's record if the efficiency and everything that is going on right now was going on the same way as in the past. And that's why most of the time this whole GOAT thing is so tiring, because comparing people in different eras is just so dumb. It's just so dumb because you have, especially in this era where you have, I was looking at one stat. I think only one player in the 2006, is it 26, 27? I'm not sure. One of those years was able to beat 30 points per game. Meanwhile, last season, about 6 or 7 players were able to hit 30 points per game. So I'm just saying, it's just easy to just sit down here and carry Jokic's stats and compare with all these guys in the past and say he was the greatest offensive player of all time. I have accepted that I was wrong in terms of saying he didn't deserve his third MVP. Though I can still argue about that. But at the end of the day, stats during this period compared to the 2000s or the 1990s or the 80s is crazy. It's just asinine. You can't compare the two. You can't compare them one bit. You just can't. I'm sorry. You just can't. You can go and browse it. You can go and investigate it if you want. But if you go and look at it in terms of logically, you just can't compare those statistics. You just can't. Anyway, my next video should be Jokic embarrassed the whole of the NBA. I think he also embarrassed someone like me. I made a video about him when there was this debate about his MVP compared to Joel Embiid. And I think I was one of the people that was also embarrassed as well. And I will check it out. I have no shame. I can check out all those things. Even if I was wrong. No problem. Anyway, I'll see you on the next one. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.